2,000 years ago, the Greek philosopher Plato described the utopian society of Atlantis. But that perfect world suffered a cataclysmic fate, swallowed by the sea, lost forever. Many have searched in vain for Atlantis, but a modern-day visionary began a journey in the Bahamas that led to a remarkable achievement. It was a journey not to discover Atlantis, but to create it. This is Atlantis, once upon our time. Saul Kerzner is the man behind this spectacular achievement. As comfortable with royalty as he is with construction workers, Kerzner's unique blend of personality traits allows him to far exceed what others might accomplish. From his boxing days, he still doesn't hold back on his punches.
Unlike your ashtray.
Perfection is always the goal. Getting there is a painful process.
Is this the whole deal or things still changing?
You need to get some movement of the lighting.
Whatever we could go bigger without changing the furniture, I think we should.
We have a bit of time to talk about this.
All part of the process of creating a lost paradise.
There are various stories about Atlantis, and you've got Plato's writings, you've got many other writings, but everyone concurs about one thing, that Atlantis, continent of Atlantis, is somewhere in the ocean. So I figured, well, let this be all about the ocean, and let's bring Atlantis out of the ocean.
For Kerzner, that meant royal towers, a temple, a canal that leads to an expansive marina at the heart of the island. There is Poseidon's Gate, a shrine honoring the Greek god to whom Atlantis first belonged. The mysterious power of the crystals that fascinated Atlanteans. The domed ceilings lined with orichal, the precious but lost metal of Atlantis. And there are magnificent buildings adorned with giant sculpted seahorses, marlins, and other sea life. After the vision came the collection. Architects, designers, artists, craftsmen. Meeting after meeting, sketch after sketch, idea after idea, blueprint after blueprint.
But it's very, very important that technically the detail is such that it is believable, that people look at it and say, oh, wow. And even if people don't notice all the detail, they'll feel it.
Finally, the building began. While the machines and tools used during this creation may be different than those used by the Atlanteans, the process of vision, creativity, brute force, and determination may be strikingly similar. Every day for months, thousands of workers would mold another element of Kerzner's plan. Giant cranes and bulldozers would move earth and materials in a pattern that was fully planned.
Saul expresses his vision, and then you take that vision and you carry it with you for 3 years with the entire team, trying to form it and to mold it and to make it into a building.
I've worked on a lot of different project types and other hotels throughout the world, but this is topping them.
From the foundation and shell of the enormous royal towers to the laying of marble flooring in the Great Hall of Waters by skilled tradesmen, from the handcrafted rock facing to the painstaking painting with 6 colors to achieve the right look and age. Each decision was made by the man who had the original vision, Saul Kerzner. In California, Charlie White and the design team from Olio were charged with developing the Dig, a fictitious archaeological site of Atlantis. It was an exciting challenge and as fascinating as any myth of the real Atlantis.
We didn't have to follow the Roman or the Greek or the Egyptian culture. We just made our own culture up that may have started here and then gone out to the other places.
The Olio team created an elaborate Atlantean alphabet, art and artifacts that dazzle the mind. And there was a model of the entire archaeological site.
One can walk the maze, the laboratories and all these rooms, the navigational room, and view the rest of the city through these openings.
As the process moved from vision to creation, the lost continent of Atlantis truly began to take shape. While the building was progressing on the shores of the Atlantic at Paradise Island, The art and artifacts that would one day be held there were being fashioned by the waters of the Pacific 3,000 miles away.
This is the flotation bladder, and this is the tube that goes in the back of the helmets so that they could get air.
Each of the Atlantean artifacts was created in a similar way, made new and then turned old. A similar process was taking place in the hallways and chambers at Atlantis. Essential in the process was the development of the murals on the walls of the dig that create a sense of the culture of the Atlanteans. Scenic artist Jay Fisher developed the style to match the people of the time.
We wanted to take a hieroglyphic approach, so things are not painted illusionistically, they're more like pictograms. So we tried to think, oh, how would an Atlantean draw a bull or an elephant or whatever, and that was a general approach, and it had to be abstracted in a sense, so that they were like flat frescoes.
Even the palette Jay used reflected the Atlantean culture, limited to natural pigments found in the earth. Then came the placement of the artifacts, the unique Atlantean system of batteries, the massive diving bell, their submarine, magnificently detailed diving suits. Even down to the simplest pot, each piece had a specific place that made sense artistically and practically from an Atlantean point of view. The museum quality of the pieces presented the culture of the society that once existed. But this was not simply a fortunate outcome of excellent art. It was the result of a painstaking process to literally develop an ancient society. What was envisioned by Kerzner and created by a unique team of artists has come to life. When we return, we'll see the ruins of Atlantis underwater in the most unique presentation of sea life in the world. Once a bustling boulevard in the capital city of Atlantis, now an underwater avenue for sea creatures to roam, this is the Ruins Lagoon. This would be amazing simply as a majestic home for sea life. What makes it spectacular is that thousands of people will be able to enjoy this eerie serenity of the deep every day. This was the vision of Saul Kerzner, first appearing in sketches and drawings by the design team. And as the construction began, Steve Kaiser, the director of Water Features, knew he was involved in something special.
This is very, very different because we're not trying to replicate sort of like a reef structure. What we're trying to replicate is an old sunken city. When we're complete, if you add in our phase 1 with our phase 2, we'll be the biggest marine fish habitat in the world.
From those first days to its magnificent completion, there seemed to be an insurmountable number of challenging stages. Most important was developing a system that would filter and pump millions of gallons of seawater every day. But containing the water and moving it were not the only concerns. The habitat had to look like a sunken city. It had to look like Atlantis. There was sculpting of the walls, painting and aging and placement of artifacts. It was a day and night job that wasn't easy.
Too much of this rock will not be good. Too many urns will not be good. Exactly. The stuff that you got over here is no good.
Kerzner's unwavering desire for perfection presented a constant challenge for the team, and they responded by creating more unique artifacts and modifying placement and lighting until it was ready to be completely filled for the first time. The half-foot-thick acrylic viewing panels held in place. There were no leaks, and the setting had become a spectacular sunken city of Atlantis. But the job was only partly completed. Kerzner's vision was for a sunken city inhabited by thousands of sea creatures. Steve Kaiser and his staff would begin collecting nearly 30,000 sea creatures, representing more than 150 species. On this trip with the collection boat, they bring home a shark from the Atlantic.
These are beautiful, graceful, very, very powerful animals. When you put your hand on them, you can actually feel that power.
The creatures are an impressive sight, whether in the Ruins Lagoon or in the waters below the Mayan temple, where visitors take an amazing ride through a shark tank. The staff not only searched the ocean for sea life, but also helped Atlantis breed its own. This dramatic video captures the birth of black-nosed shark pups, the first birth of this species ever in captivity.
What it means is that we can really start working on some maturation studies, how long it takes it to mature, how fast their growth rates are. We can just do so much good basic biological work on these animals that are so poorly understood.
The excitement was just incredible. Everyone was over looking at these 3 babies.
So you were a little like an expectant father, huh?
Yeah, they congratulated me.
The staff went on the road to acquire sea life. The Pittsburgh Zoo, while renovating its aquarium, was trying to place this Australian grouper in a new home. The lucky grouper's new home would be Atlantis. For the Atlantis team, it was a difficult transfer that included anesthetizing the fish, placing it in a 6,000-pound tank filled with water, onto a DC-3 cargo plane, and flying to the Bahamas. All that, and even the watery arrival for all involved at Atlantis, was probably easier for the grouper than it was for the staff. Other arrivals may not have been as unique, but they were every bit as challenging.
It really is bringing all these wonderful, tremendous animals from all over the world to try and make this probably the best aquatic facility in the world.
The skill and understanding of the staff allow this difficult task to be accomplished in such a way that the fish are not harmed, and that people around the world are given a view that cannot be seen anywhere else on the earth. When we return, the artists of Atlantis and their work, an unparalleled collection that is as striking in beauty as it is massive in scale. As important to Saul Kersner as the creation of the culture of Atlantis in the dig and the ruins tank was the presentation of priceless art that would carry the visitor from arrival to departure. When he gathered his artists, his instructions were simple.
Just make them look really old, and they should be ageless.
From Seattle, Washington, he chose Dale Chihuly. From South Africa, it was Donnie Diager. From Naples, Florida, Kathy Spaulding. From Spain, Albino Gonzalez.
I think those, as we go up, like here,
as each began to understand Kersner's vision, the work began on continents around the world. In Seattle, Dale Chihuly began his masterwork in glass that would lead to 4 major pieces.
You know, other than the concept of what it's going to, sort of the shape and what it's going to be like, the most important thing for me to do is to come up with the elements that are going to be in the piece. As you can see, the piece is symmetrical. Joey's going to heat it up in the glory hole. Now it's starting to, he's got it hot enough to stretch out. JP is blowing on it a little bit. Now Joey's going to heat that up with an oxyacetylene torch. They only have about 20 seconds. I got to get this thing done, because if it cools down too much, it breaks.
Chihuly's work is now the focal point of the entertainment center at Atlantis, which is the largest in the region. The Temple of the Sun rises high above one end of the casino, while the Temple of the Moon is poised above the other end. There is the striking chandelier and the Crystal Gate, which serves as a symbol of welcome for all who enter the entertainment center. It was this collaboration between visionary and creator that allowed this art to come alive. At the same time, Kersner was working with an old friend in South Africa, Donnie Diager. Their creation, the Pegasus Fountain, 7 winged horses in bronze. At first, they were going to be fish.
And Saul said immediately, but what are you talking about, horses on an island? You're crazy. You know I asked you for fishes.
They debated for 8 days. Finally, Saul made his decision.
He came over to us from the basement there, and he said, I've decided. I said, oh, God, Saul, you've decided. Don't tell me. He said, you're doing the horses.
And so, winged horses they would be, a magnificent reception for guests as they arrive at Atlantis. Kersner, however, would have his fish in the flying fish sculpture of Kathy Spaulding. The process for Spaulding included sketches, maquettes, and the decision to do flying fish. Then, at her studio in Naples, Florida, Spaulding began sculpting each fish in wax.
Each wing has to be put on at their own angle. They're all individual. And when I change the shape of the body, the shape of all the scales change.
From wax to a working fountain, it's an arduous process.
It was a year into the project where I walked onto the site for the first time and got to feel the presence of the actual space that it was going to be placed within. It was quite exciting to think that my piece was going to be framed within this fantastic project.
Framing the work of Spanish muralist Albino Gonzalez is the massive lobby in the Great Hall of Waters. With a style that he visualizes as Atlantean in nature, Gonzalez created 8 giant murals that tell the Atlantean story from creation to destruction.
When he got the whole concept about the mural, he realized that there were 8. And that was a circle. And the circle means infinity. The day, the night, the positive, the negative, the good, the bad.
As Gonzalez began work on his murals, he decided to leave Spain and take a studio in New York City. The decision turned out to be inspiring, as his view of the Manhattan skyline and the water behind became his Atlantis, an island culture ahead of its time. Each day as Gonzalez began his work, it would be this scene that would inspire him. Now Gonzalez's work hangs high above the marble floors of the Great Hall as a symbol of the Atlantean culture and a greeting for visitors to the lost continent of Atlantis. The story of the giant sea creatures and ornate cupolas and railings that appoint the building is one of the most interesting in the project. Lashed to a barge upon completion, they began their journey by traveling past the Statue of Liberty, arriving in the Bahamas more than a week later, and amazingly none the worse for wear.
The seahorses coming out, I don't know where they are, but they're just incredible. And they're going to be exposed. They're going to be holding up the bridge suite over there.
Lifted into place with giant cranes, they now create a lasting impression.
It's a very elaborate system of ornamentation meant to enhance Saul's vision of what he feels Atlantis should be.
When we return, a grand opening on the scale of Atlantis itself. Saul Kersner walked the Atlantis site with princes and entertainers, as well as architects and laborers. His goal was always to create the most realistic and most awe-inspiring land that he could. Never before has one man's imprint on a project been so clearly left as Kersner's on Atlantis. And finally, it was time to reveal his creation to the world. It was the grand opening of the Royal Towers at Atlantis. The 120-member Bahamian Junkanoo Band filled the air with native sounds as a parade of Atlantean dancers and torch-bearing warriors set the scene for the most extraordinary arrival of the weekend. Grace Jones, an Atlantean goddess descending 170 feet through the air to welcome visitors from around the world to the rediscovery of her long-lost continent.
Behold, Atlantis rising from the sea!
The visitors included Hollywood's A-list: Michael Jackson, Oprah Winfrey, Denzel Washington, Julia Roberts, even Leonardo DiCaprio, all partying at Paradise Island.
It's beautiful here. It's amazing what they've done and how they recreated what it may have looked like, and they've just done a nice job here, really have.
This is extraordinary. Everywhere you turn, magic has come to life, mythology has come to life. When you look at that harbor where we sat and had lunch today and you see those yachts, you realize that Monte Carlo is sort of over and this has replaced it.
I think the whole place is terrific, actually. They've really done a beautiful job.
It was truly an event for the rich and famous, a multi-million-dollar affair designed by party planner extraordinaire Colin Cowie.
What we've created for our guests here is basically a roller coaster ride of entertainment. I mean, to think of the lineup of entertainers that we have, it's phenomenal. And the amount of artistry and the amount of pageantry and the costuming that we've gone to such great lengths.
3,000 lobsters and 12,000 shrimp were among the offerings on walking buffet tables. Even to the most veteran partygoers, the Atlantis celebration will be remembered as the event of the decade.
Oh, it's awesome. It's like the myth. It's just like the mythology.
So extraordinary was the spectacle that it was covered by hundreds of members of the press from around the world. Nowhere could you find Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Quincy Jones, Natalie Cole, and Jimmy Buffett performing at the same site. Nowhere except Atlantis. The entertainment highlight had to be the impromptu performance of Michael Jackson with the 300-voiced Bahamian choir. For most, this would have been more than enough. But for visionary Sol Kersner, who brought Atlantis to life, there was one more surprise. The dazzling pyrotechnic extravaganza by the world-renowned Grucci's created a cascading waterfall of fire, heralding the rising of the royal towers at Atlantis. And while the last glimmer of fireworks may have signified the end of the grand opening celebration, it marked the beginning of a unique fantasy, unlike any other in the world.
I think Atlantis is a place to experience. I think it's a place to discover things. And it's a place to do it in your own time. And I like them to just go away thinking that's one hell of an experience and we've got to get back soon.
One man's idea, brought from myth to reality. This is Atlantis, once upon our time.